Hey guys, Bellamy here from Midnight Suns, and today we have something a little different. So people always ask me why I don't review Singapore films even though I am Singaporean and I'm living in Singapore. And that is a very good question, and I'm gonna change that today. This is our first ever Singapore film review, and so without further ado, here is our review of Geylang, a 2023 Singapore film. Alright, so Geylang is a movie that is set in, Geylang. If you aren't in Singapore, you might not know this, but Geylang is basically Singapore's red light district. And so, in this movie, we follow 5 characters who live in Geylang and they end up in all sorts of crazy situations over one night. So there's like blackmailing, there's murder, there's a lot of blood, there's chaos, all sorts of crazy things that happen. And so with this kidnapping and prostitution and other illegal activities going on, these 5 characters who are each involved in different illegal activities find themselves all coming together when their stories get intertwined. And I'm not going to spoil much more than that because this movie is really full of plot twists and betrayals between the characters. So if I spoil anything, it would ruin your enjoyment of the movie. So just go in there with a fresh mind and hopefully you've avoided all spoilers before watching the movie. But anyway, all the twists and turns that the story consistently takes during the movie is really entertaining. Although I do admit some parts are really over the top, like especially at the end, like I said, when all the characters find their stories all intertwining and they all come together for this big climactic battle at the end. I felt that was kind of really extreme, like there were so many coincidences that had to happen for that to happen. And so I think I might have preferred it if some of the characters did have their stories separate from one another. I don't think every character had to have their stories intertwined with each other, but they somehow found a way to do that. And well, I would say even though it was pretty unrealistic, it's actually really very entertaining. Alright, so now let's talk about the performances. There are basically 5 main characters. There's a pimp, there's a prostitute's boyfriend, psychotic doctor, and a government officer. And I think all 5 of the actors who played those 5 main characters did a great job. Especially Mark Lee, he was playing the pimp. His character is somebody who always acts tough, but throughout the movie he just keeps getting screwed over. So if you're really into dark humor, I think you will enjoy just watching his character get screwed over and over again. His character and his story is easily for me the highlight of the movie. And I also think all the other actors did really well, and I don't think anybody was miscast when I watched this movie. I think they all were casted pretty greatly, if not perfectly, for their roles. And now let's talk about the visuals. I think honestly the movie looks extremely amazing. The cinematography is just superb. So you know how in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, bear with me here, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe there is a fictional country called Madripoor, which is based off Singapore, and it appeared in the Disney Plus series Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And Madripoor was like this dark area, this dark city that was so dimly lit and it's only lighted by like neon lights and big glowing signboards. And when I watched that, I was like, that doesn't look like Singapore at all. But then when I watched this movie and I saw Geylang, the way they showed Geylang, I was like, okay, actually that does look like Madripoor. So maybe Madripoor does look like Singapore. But yeah, the set design was really amazing. I really loved the whole cyberpunk kind of vibe that the aesthetics were going for. All the bright signboards and neon lights really gave Geylang this like Blade Runner-esque vibe to it, and I really loved that. And to add on to that, let's talk about the sound. And well, let me just say, I think the soundtrack in this movie is quite possibly the best movie soundtrack in any Singapore film ever. The soundtrack has this really cool techno-electronic vibe to it, and it really just makes Geylang feel like this underworld within a larger, developed, futuristic society, which is, in this case, Singapore. And it once again just gives me that cyberpunk Blade Runner vibe, and I think it's just awesome. And so the time has come for us to give this movie a final score. I'm giving Geylang a good 7 out of 10. This movie doesn't have the deepest story out there, but it is just really enjoyable, and anybody who wants to just go out and watch an exciting crime thriller will not be disappointed by this movie. This movie feels really over the top at times, but I think that is part of the charm of this movie, and it's probably what makes this movie, to me, feel so entertaining. And honestly, right, if you have the chance to go out and watch this in cinemas, especially if you are living in Singapore, I highly recommend you go out and watch this movie right now, because I really want our local film industry to have more movies like this. And hopefully if this movie makes enough money at the box office, then we will have more local movies like this. This is easily one of the best local feature-length films that I've seen in my life. The directing is great, the acting performances are enjoyable, the story is entertaining, the action choreography was wonderful, the audio and visuals are spectacular, and overall I think this movie was a really fun ride from beginning to end. And that's it for this review, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please do consider subscribing. We are just a very small channel and we do hope to review more local films in the future. Anyway, thanks again for watching everybody, and as always, stay gold. Bye guys.